I think my darkest time was during that time when I had the REL label. It was Doodoo Man Records. And that was in the early 90s. And I was in my heyday at the time. I remember taking the time out to do the label and not do outside production because that was my focus. And during that time, I remember Large Professor was coming up, Pete Rock. I'm like, man, I'm losing my space. And to find out that my records that I finished on the label that they didn't like and say, we'll put them out next year. Now, meanwhile, the record is dating itself. I'm losing work. Having people tell me that, oh yeah, such and such, I wanted to get you to produce my record, but such and such said that you was played out, and but I was like, man, people I've called for videos, like, yo, I'm shooting this video, other artists, I'm like, yo, they would call me and say, yo, Paul, come into the house, 3 in the morning, I'm hooking up samplers, so yo, this is how you do stuff. You call them for something, cats will not show. And it was a lesson, man, when the Chiefs and when the fame is around, a lot of cats parted ways, and that's when I started the Gravediggers. The whole Gravedigger concept just came from just like, yo, man, what's happening? My De La record at the time, people were like, it's not like this. It was a lot of bad things was going on. So my thing was like, yo, man, I was in the house depressed, literally, for like months, making dark songs, in the basement, lights off, man. And I was like, man, who's in my same position? Man, let me call it RZA. Well, Prince Rakeem at the time. Yo, what you doing? Oh, man, he just went through whatever legal problems he was having. I'm not at liberty to say. You could ask him. And he was like, yeah, I'm down. It's like, I figure if we pooled whatever we had together as has-beens, that We Love You Rakeem gave him a bad time, My man Poetic, who did this whole record, I remember, for Tommy Boy, and just to find out he got dropped, not even by the label, but just by hearing that he got dropped, and he was homeless at the time. He was living out of cars. Fruquan was making clothes. Nobody was checking him. He had some deal, but then they dropped him or whatever, and he was making clothes. He had no job, I guess his wife was supporting him at the time, so everybody was in a bad place, and all that energy that we had, we pulled it together and kind of made something together. And that was a dark time, but kind of made into something positive. And what made it even harder was upon completing the demo, which I thought was really good, it took us a year to get a deal. So that's like, on top of feeling bad and like, yeah, I'm showing them, I got the hottest thing, to take it to people like, oh man, that's whack. I remember one label said, man, and wait till I got out the room, but I had friends that worked there, you can't sign those guys. They're all old, man. They played out. Now, I was only 26 at the time, 25. Oh man, they're old, they're no good, blah, blah, blah. I felt really good when Diary of a Madman came out, and it was #1 requested record on Hot 97 for a week straight. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty good when a lot of labels who we took it to starting to sign quote unquote horrorcore acts, So, I didn't give up, man. And that to me was an important thing, as I learned, is you do not give up. I mean, if you quit, you'll never see tomorrow, the light of the next day. So I've stuck it out and tried to make all my negatives positive.